Dragon's Dogma 2 just recently got updated, and despite having fixed many things, the only thing I'm interested in at the moment is this, fixing issues around CPU overload in certain situations, asterisk. And then if you look at the asterisk, it says frame rates in areas with a lot of NPCs, such as town centers, should be improved. So how much did it improve? Let's have a look. Alright, so currently we're at 1440p. I'm using my external capture card for this video once again. I don't have any DLSS super resolution enabled, no frame generation. Render mode is set to progressive instead of interlaced. We don't have ray tracing enabled, but I did enable or set all the settings as high as possible. Right, so that's why it says custom, and that's pretty much it, right? So did the game actually improve performance, or did the game's performance actually improve in cities? Well, here we are in one of the main cities. So let's go ahead and start our benchmark run. Now, right off the bat, standing still here, we are getting GPU usage of a 95%, which was not the case previously, getting around 100 frames per second. But if we start running around, it's pretty much more of the same, right? It definitely is better. Generally with this system, this is a 14600KF system with an RTX of 4070 Super. I'd drop below 60 frames per second in this specific area, and this is actually the only area that used to be an issue for me, is the main city. Batal is also an issue, but not as much as this one is. Right, so you can see that the frame time graph is much smoother. I'm going to just put another video side by side here, a video that I recorded prior to the patch a little while ago actually. So it does seem to be much better, although it's definitely still not perfect, right? So we are very CPU bound in this specific case. Anyway, so let's go ahead and just enable DLSS. We're sitting here with 90 frames per second, and our 1% lows are sitting at 49. Right, so all we're going to do is we'll just enable a DLSS here. I'm just doing everything real time. So we go to graphics, we can just enable DLSS, just set it to quality, and let's make sure that frame generation is disabled. Everything else is still exactly the same. So let's go ahead and save the changes here, go back into our game. We were getting around 90 frames per second, and we are still getting around 90 frames per second. So that is, I mean, that's exactly what a CPU bind means. You can lower your graphical settings and your frame rate won't improve, right? One thing that they did seem to fix, this game was supposed to launch with DLSS 3 frame generation, and it was removed, possibly due to some issues with the implementation. There were some mods that you could use, but the mods weren't perfect either. And I'd actually used the mods, but there were some crashing issues every now and again. So now they have brought back a DLSS 3 frame generation, I think with a patch or two ago actually. So let's go ahead and enable that quickly. Let's see if that helps us here. Spoiler alert, it should. So let's just enable DLSS frame generation. We do have DLSS set to quality still, and go ahead and save that. And if we have a look at our frame rate now, let's reset the numbers. Now we're getting 150 frames per second. Did we reset the numbers? Because those lows are pretty low. Okay, now we have. Okay, so the frame time graph is much better. The frame time graph is actually much better than previously as well, without frame generation. But now with frame generation, it seems to be playable. Okay, and the game is definitely still not 100% fixed, unfortunately. You do need frame generation to get a decent experience in towns. As you can see, the frame time graph is quite acceptable, I'd say, in town here with frame generation enabled, although our lows are still not ideal. Right, so CapFrame X only captures the 0.2% lows and not the 0.1% lows. In the overlay here, you can set the benchmark to capture 0.1%. If there's a way to enable 0.1% lows in the overlay, maybe just let me know down in the comments below. But as you can see, we didn't really drop below 120 frames per second here, whereas previously with the DLSS 3 frame generation mod, I had to lock the frame rate to 100 frames per second to prevent any drops below 100 frames per second. So if you do have an RTX 40 series GPU, you need to use a frame generation, and then this game is perfectly playable within the city. Now, it's kind of necessary that you need frame generation just to get a decent experience, but unfortunately that's just how it goes. All right, I just wanted to make a short video to update you on Dragon's Dogma 2 and the performance we can see nowadays. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and as always, we hope to see you in the next one.